What would you do if you suddenly found yourself standing at the ultimate edge? A place where the sun never rises and the silence is deafeningly loud. The billionaire wakes up, his expensive silk suit feeling like lead against his skin. He is standing on a mirrored floor that reflects a sky of nothingness. He looks around, searching for a door, a light, or a sign of life. Instead, he sees a graveyard of clocks, their ticking hearts stopped in mid-beat. In this realm, the numbers in his bank account have no value. The digital zeros that once defined his worth are now just ghosts in a void. Suddenly, a monolithic gateway appears. It has no handle, no keyhole, and radiates a cold that sinks deep into his bones, reminding him of his mortality. This is the boundary between what was and what will be. He tries to push, to scream, but the air is thick with the weight of eternity. How much is a life worth when there is no one left to impress? He is the king of a kingdom that has completely disappeared into the mist. He realizes that his power, his influence, and his vast wealth cannot open this final door. He is just a man, standing naked before the truth. From the depths of the void, a figure appears. This is not the terrifying specter of myth, but a calm, inevitable presence that commands absolute silence. The Reaper does not carry a scythe to harvest souls. Instead, he carries the one thing that every human being has wasted: the gift of time. He places a crystal hourglass on a pedestal. It is a fragile vessel, holding the remainder of a life, illuminated by a soft, haunting golden glow. The sand is falling. Every grain represents a heartbeat, a breath, a second that can never be reclaimed once it touches the bottom of the glass. He leans in, his breath fogging the cool glass. He can hear the faint sound of the grains sliding, a sound more terrifying than any storm. Then he sees it. His own name, etched into the base of the pedestal. This is not just any clock. It is the countdown of his existence. He looks at the figure in black, pleading for a sign of mercy. But the Reaper is as silent and unyielding as the passage of years. Each grain that falls is a memory he didn't cherish, a moment he traded for profit, and a chance for love that he simply ignored. He tries to stop the flow, to block the narrow neck of the glass, but his hands pass through the air like he is a ghost. The figure remains still, a witness to the realization that time is the only currency that matters, and his purse is nearly empty of it. He begins to bargain. He offers his name, his reputation, and every skyscraper he ever built. But the sand continues its steady, indifferent descent downward. In a desperate frenzy, he summons his wealth. Massive vaults appear, spilling mountains of gold and diamonds onto the floor to buy his way out. "Take it all!" he screams. He offers the treasures of 1,000 lifetimes, thinking that even death must have a price he can surely afford. But as the Reaper touches the gold, it loses its luster. The precious metal crumbles into gray ash, fluttering away like dead leaves in the wind. He writes a check for billions, a sum that could feed nations. But the paper ignites into a cold blue flame before it even reaches the Reaper. His fortune is melting. The solid bars of gold are turning into a strange, heavy dust that begins to crawl toward the glass like a snake. He tries to refill the top of the glass with his wealth, but the universe rejects the trade. Wealth cannot create a single second of life. He is surrounded by more money than any man could dream of, yet he is the poorest soul in existence. He has everything, but more time. The panic sets in. He realizes that his entire life's work was dedicated to accumulating things that the Reaper views as mere dust and shadow. "Just 1 minute," he begs, his voice cracking with a raw, primal hunger for life. "1 minute for everything I own. Just 60 more seconds." The Reaper looks at him with a silence that says more than words ever could. He is showing the man the ultimate futility of his greed. His scream is the sound of a man who realized too late that he spent his life buying a cage made of gold and expensive promises. The landscape shifts as his empire turns to dust. He is being buried by the very things he thought would make him immortal and untouchable. He looks at his hands, once used to sign billion-dollar deals, now covered in the soot of his failed negotiations with the inevitable end of all. The Reaper points. "Look closer," the silence seems to whisper. The sand is not just time. It is the substance of the life you actually lived. Inside the glass, a world unfolds. He sees the highlights of his years, not as bank statements, but as a series of missed and stolen moments. He sees himself in a high-rise office, cold and focused, while his daughter's birthday candles flicker and die out without his presence at the table. He walks through a world of beauty, past a sunset that painted the sky in fire, but his eyes never left the scrolling lines of profit. He was always in the next room, always in the next hour, never truly where his body was. He lived his life as a constant rehearsal. He sees the weight of his child in his arms, a moment of pure magic that he traded for a conference call that he can't even remember. Every argument over things that didn't matter now looks like a tragedy. He wasted the music of a peaceful morning on the noise of ambition. The sand pours down, a torrential rain of missed opportunities. He spent his days counting his money instead of counting his blessings and his joys. Suddenly, a memory of childhood appears, just the smell of rain on grass. It was the only time he was truly alive, and it cost nothing. He reaches for it, desperate to hold on to that simple peace. He realizes that the best parts of his life were the ones he didn't buy. We don't live by the years on a calendar. We live by the moments we were actually present. You are holding a treasure he would die for. The truth hits him like a tidal wave. Time isn't something you spend to get more things. Time is the thing that things are made of. He sees that right now is the only kingdom that ever existed. Everything else was just a dream he chased until he ran out of road. The hourglass is almost empty. One single grain remains, vibrating with the weight of a lifetime. The world around him begins to grow very still. He stops screaming. He stops begging. He lets go of the invisible strings of his ego and simply stands there, breathing in the final silence. As the last grain falls, it feels like an eternity. In this fraction of a second, he finally understands what it truly means to be alive. The darkness is not a wall, but a curtain. The heavy weight of his regrets begins to lift as the material world simply fades away. When there is nothing left to lose, you finally find what is enough. He is stripped of his title, his wealth, and his heavy, burdened heart. The end of life is the beginning of understanding. He realizes that he was always rich, but he was too busy counting to notice the wealth. The Reaper acknowledges the soul that has finally learned its lesson. The deal is closed, and the bargain of a lifetime is finally settled forever. A flash of peace envelops everything. Death is not the end of the story, but the final exam on the true value of our existence. He steps into the light, not as a billionaire, but as a man who finally knows how to live, just as he learns how to die. We return to the world of the living. The sun is shining through your window, and the clock is still ticking for you right now. You have the power that the billionaire would have given everything for. You have the ability to start fresh, to choose how you spend your time. Don't wait for the glass to be empty before you appreciate the beauty of each grain. Every second is a gift you cannot buy back later. What are you buying with your time today? Is it worth the price? Make sure you are spending your life on things that truly matter to you. Invest in laughter, in presence, and in the people you love. These are the only treasures that will not turn to ash when the Reaper calls. Live deeply right now. If this story touched your soul, comment "true" and share it with someone you love. Your time is your greatest fortune.